Now, leading our bulletin, all state of disaster measures have fallen away. President Ramaphosa announced last night that government's lifting the national state of disaster. Now, this means all alert levels fall away. However, some measures will remain in place during a transitional phase. eNCA's reporters are out and about to get views. Nqobile Madlala is in Johannesburg and Slindelo Masikane is in Polokwane. Perhaps to start with you, Slindelo, what are people in Polokwane saying about the lifting of the national state of disaster?
Well, we find ourselves out here on the streets of Polokwane, where we are finding out from ordinary South Africans just how they feel with regards to the ending of the national state of disaster. We know that initially it was set for 21 days, that turned into 750 days, and a lot of people are giving me mixed reactions. In fact, some people are excited about it, saying, look, I can finally start to wear makeup again, I can take off my mask, but we know that mask wearing still remains in place, especially in areas that are indoors. But others are quite concerned, I must say, with regards to issues around job creation. Earlier on, I spoke to several of those residents of Polokwane, and they were telling me that they were quite concerned about the issue of job creation. I'm going to try and speak to this young gentleman here. How are you doing, sir, Ligai?
I'm fine.
I'm good. Tell me, did you speak to did you listen to the president yesterday? He ended the national state of disaster.
No, I didn't listen to him.
So the national state of disaster has ended. Do you feel any type of way about it? Do you think it'll make a difference?
Yes, I don't think it will make a difference.
Why not? Is it issues around jobs? Do you have a job?
I don't have a job.
Yeah. How was 2020 for you and 2021?
It wasn't easy because I was not working.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
Did you lose your job?
Yeah. I didn't lose a job.
Yeah, but you didn't have a job.
I didn't have a job.
Okay. So what would you like to see happening this year? Would you like to get a job this year, possibly?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will be happy if I get a job.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But it's not simple.
It's not simple.
It's not simple.
Yeah. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah. All right. So those are just really some of the sentiments you've been getting here in Polokwane Mfundo. The same issue around unemployment, around the president actually not announcing what's going to happen moving forward now that the national state of disaster has come to an end, especially because a lot of people did lose employment during the past 2 years.
And I wonder, though, if some are a bit relieved that they will be retaining that 350 grant. Have you spoken to any a bit earlier who said at the very least they're comforted that the 350 grant, in as much as they're lifting the state of disaster, will remain?
Certainly. I mean, for many people, that 350 grants has been a lifeline for them. And so the fact that government is going to look at measures on how to retain it and how to ensure that South Africans can still have that kind of relief, I think is going to be welcomed by many of those who have been accessing that grant to be able to get their basic day-to-day necessities.
Let's now rope in Nqobile, who's here in Johannesburg. Nqobile, what has been the sentiment of Johannesburg residents on that lifting of the national state of disaster?
Well, Mfundo, at this point, we've spoken to some of the business owners. I mean, one of the person that we spoke to a little earlier on, he was saying that for them, it means in the restaurant industry, it means that it's time to open up and people can afford to now perhaps spend more time out, and that people can actually spend time in the restaurant, spend some money, and that means that they can now create more employment, but not taking away from the fact that they've had to go through so much, that they've had to endure so much, having to let go of some of their staff, and even going as far as trying to cut down hours to keep their business afloat. But in fact, I want to bring in my guest at this point, who is, of course, a business manager. And I mean, you are a backpacker. And this is where people come to you essentially because they want to travel, but they don't want to spend so much money. But you have found yourself at a situation where you had to close down at some point because there wasn't enough people coming in. And now my question is, with the uplifting of the national disaster, what does that mean for your business now going forward?
Okay, so in terms of that, it basically alleviates the intense structures that were existing before. I mean, like staff, we've had staff arrested before for no reason at all. We've had to basically structure permits, make them available for staff. Things are much more easier now, and the traveling market feels much more safer when there's less kind of, intensity in the areas. For us, that's good. It's basically, in terms of risk perception in the tourism aspect, it's very good. We have more traffic coming in, and yes, I can say that the groups are back now. They're coming back slowly.
And I mean, earlier on when we spoke, you were talking about the fact that at some point you guys had to lose dollars because there's a currency exchange that's involved with people traveling into the country as well. Yeah. What does that mean? I mean, the shortfall that you now have to essentially look at.
I mean, so most online travel agencies, what they did is they issued out funds for basically refunds and cancellations and such, but that didn't mean it was good for businesses. We lost out on like a lot of funds. I'm telling you, dollars. We had to refund foreign exchange basically funds back to people from Zanzibar, back to people from Austria and such. So it has been tough during that fund, but the OTAs did make it lighter and lesser on the businesses. So yeah, in that aspect, we did kind of emerge back up.
And let's talk about the staff that you had to let go of at some point. What about those people in terms of employment now going forward? Are you going to be looking to bring those people back? Or is it going to be difficult to get the same staff that you had employment again?
Thank you for asking, actually. So what we did is, when COVID actually did start, is we initiated basically pause process on all operations and our staff, but we didn't restrain anyone, didn't let it go in anyone. We put everyone on break, and then we had them come back. So to tell you how good things and how they slowly coming back to place, all of our staff members from the first COVID initial process are back now. So that's how busy it's become. We needed them back, literally. So yeah, things are going well, I could say. And if the rotational structure was made well, I think most businesses would have survived that, and their staff as well.
All right. And you spoke about the fact that some of the people had to, at some point, you had to take them out because they were arrested for not having things like permits. Does that mean that they have now a record of some sort?
So that's, I mean, like, questions like that, the Disaster Act did kind of alter the legislation within South Africa a bit. It was very confusing because, I mean, like how you're arresting people at work, permits, how legit are the permits. So things like that had to come into place and come into action. It was very hard at first, but yes, everything got written off, and, things are back to normal now.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it, Nqobile. Business owners here are saying that it is something good for the business. I mean, we're just hearing from this business owner saying that they are now bringing back some of the staff that they had to put on break. So actually it is something good. But at this point, from what I'm hearing, it's not like they're going to rush and find more people to come into business. Everybody wants to stabilize. And that, of course, touches on the fact that those that were currently unemployed may not be getting the job because the businesses are finding themselves in a position where they need to first stabilize before starting to grow.
No, most certainly. Nqobile, thank you very much for that. That's our reporter, Nqobile Madlala, out in Joburg, just getting reaction following the lifting of the national state of disaster.